Just want to come through real quick with a video here on YouTube, Unity Ghost. This video is going to let you fathers know that you're not going through this by yourself. All right. We have, and I'm going to zoom in so you can get an understanding of what's going on in a place called Malaysia. All right. There is problems with fatherhood in a place called Malaysia. Why? Because the Queen of England, everywhere the Queen of England has her prime ministers, is where fathers have issues with rights to their children. And I'm going to go to this. We're at the Malaya Mail. This is the Malaysian newspaper. And I'm going to read: Fathers' Rights Association wants equal custody of children in Malaysian divorce cases. All right. This is happening in Malaysia. And these people are going through hell. They cannot see their children. They're going through depression, even in Malaysia. This is a problem all around the world. All right. Kuala Lumpur, and I may have mispronunciate that, a newly formed fathers' rights advocacy group wants the current law reform, Divorce and Marriage Act of 1974, to be well reformed to be more keeping with the times. All right. What does that mean? That means these fathers want to have rights to their children. They want to reform the law so that they were able to have access to their children. For the Fathers' Rights Association of Malaysia, co-founder Malcolm Fernandez and Sheikh Falai Masur said that law has been against fathers from the get-go. As in divorce, mothers are automatically granted sole custody of the children. And doesn't that sound familiar? That sounds the same as what we're going through here in the States. The norm in Malaysia in divorce cases is that the mother is granted sole custody of the child from the very beginning, with the father usually ending up with only alternate weekends with his kids at best, or a 15-minute supervised video call a week in worst case, said Fernandez, a lawyer. I have seen good, loving, responsible fathers sharing that when they get alternate weekends, they treat it as if they hit the jackpot. That is not right. It should not be the case. Fram is saying no to this. Now, the reason they get alternate weekends is because the law all around the world is if a father or anyone gets over 90 nights with their child, they automatically get the child support lowered. But courts do not want that because courts get a part of child support. So they alienate the fathers in order to get as much money as possible from them and accuse them of not being there. And that's why they take as much money possible when they can't be there, when they want more time, but more time would mean less money for these particular judges. If a father wants to play an important role and be with his child, added with the fact that a father is willing to fight for his share of equal custody in court, he should be allowed to do so. Yes, he should be allowed to do so. But once again, these courts understand that without a father, these kids are going to end up back in front of them. That's why the court also gives to my former job, Hillcrest Academy, to children, the place where all the children have felonies. I used to work there as a biology teacher. All right. The court knows that without fathers, these children will end up in front of them. And the court also knows that the law says if you have more than 90 nights, now understand, let's do some mathematics here. 4 days out of the month times 12 is 48. But if you have every weekend, now how many weeks are there in a year? All right, 54. 54 weeks times 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, you have 108 days. The court has to lower child support, but once again, the court will not lower child support because they want to make as much money as possible. So what they do is make sure that as a father, you only get every other weekend, because every weekend will be too much days and they would not get as much money. All right. Starting up as a WhatsApp group created by Fernandez, who was going through a divorce in 2018, Fram received its certification as a legitimate association from the Register of Societies in May of this year, and now has over 50 active members. All right. We have a Facebook group. All you have to do is it's so many fathers going through this. All you have to do is try and they'll come. We decided not to stick to a WhatsApp group. We decided to go one step further and start an association, which really doesn't exist in Malaysia, a specific Fathers' Rights Association. That's how we began, says Sheik, an entrepreneur. And yes, these associations don't exist in Malaysia. They don't exist. They exist in Cincinnati, but they're a fraud. All right. I don't even want to get on the fatherhood initiative here, but we know it does not help fathers. There's nothing to help fathers or mothers. Let's continue. Fernandez explained that even though the association is called Fathers' Rights Association of Malaysia, its primary focus is the well-being of children involved in divorce cases and is pushing for reform to make the Law Reform Act of 1976 fair to both parents, and also fighting for fatherhood. It's not only for the father, but it's for the mothers, because we understand that the court steals children and puts them in children's services for money purposes, because when they take the child, they put her on child support. And everyone knows that when a child goes into foster care, the state makes money. So that is the goal: parental alienation for pay, not only for fathers to alienate fathers to get as much money, but also for mothers to get money. FRAM is an association that puts the child in the forefront, says Fernandez. While there are a lot of child rights advocates, when it comes to a custody battle, they will all evidently say the same thing, which is the child is better off with the mother. And that's a lie. Why are people coming up with these lies? Everyone knows that the child is better off with the father. The child, it don't matter what child it is. Okay, we understand that when child is in the infancy age, that the mother needs to coddle it, maybe needs to breastfeed the child. But the fact is, the child needs the father more than the mother in regards to many different things. And that's why today, when mothers have primary custody, there is an epidemic of child suicide. There's an epidemic of child being molested. There's an epidemic that they have no protection. And the children end up emotional, ready to kill one another, like our kids are doing in the Black community with mostly mothers. This is a very strange and archaic stereotype, because a lot of studies and findings by psychiatrists and child experts say that a child is actually better off not with just the father or the mother, but with both parents playing an active role and having equal access. This right here is just too much like right. So they're not going to allow this. They're going to allow the mother to keep them, and for it not to have any father role model at all. And that leads to so many mental issues when it comes to the child, and so many different issues in regards to our society at whole. Fernandez added the stereotype in Malaysia is that fathers are always the bad guys in the court, with mothers being viewed as the only person who can care for the children, calling out the hypocrisy of gender equality when it comes to divorce in Malaysia. And these people are divorced. They're not people that, oh, you should have wrapped it up. Oh, you should have did it the right way and got married to her. These are people who are married, men who are married. And why do you think men don't want to get married? Why do you think men don't even want to deal with the dating scene? Because this is the outcome at all times. It's not fairness, it's inequality. And the fact is, most people love it to have it that way. Does not being able to carry a child make the father a lesser parent? No, because a lot of times you don't see the struggle of a father. He needs to go to work and bring in the money. He needs to also spend time with the kids. And why we call it hypocrisy of the highest level is we all talk about gender equality, but it's only the woman having equal rights. And why did they say equal rights? Women having all the rights. We are all for women having equal rights. But when it comes to the child and divorce cases, Malaysia takes 10 steps back. We have to adapt our current laws to be like those in Scandinavian countries, where when there is a divorce, both parents are granted equal custody, explained Fernandez. And I need to definitely note that in Scandinavian countries, they're going to make sure that both parents have equal custody in a divorce. That's in Scandinavia, but not when you're trying to get as much money as possible. Sheik says the child emotional needs are immediately secured when both parents care for the child, adding that in Malaysia, no matter the circumstances, the father is always the one being punished. But not only the father being punished, but the child is being punished. Understand that child is not going to have nobody on his father's side. All right? He's not going to know his grandmother. He's not going to know his uncle. He's not going to know none of his cousins. And that's going to have a profound effect on his development growing up and being secure in life and having help in life. In Malaysia, the mother gets to keep the child while the father is punished, even if the most loving, caring, and responsible father, he said. He also shared that there are currently no clause in the law reform that dictates the amount of time allocated to fathers to spend with their children, and that it's now just a habitual judgment handed down by judges and low-life ass magistrates. Let's not keep them out of there, because we got some low-life ass magistrates like Deerdorf over here in Hamilton County Juvenile Court. There is no such law carved out in stone. There is only the judgment that is given to fathers, alternate weekends, or a 15-minute video call a week. There is no such law. So why do we continue to agree with this? And that's the same thing happened to my treasurer. He got a video call. No, he got where they had to watch him while he was in the same room with him. Supervised visits. Mind you, this man has about four kids in his house. He has 4 kids in his house, but he has to be subjected to that. Why is it so difficult to think that naturally a child needs both a mother and a father? I always tell people couples can get divorced or separate, but you can never stop being a parent. You are a parent till you die, he says. Fernandez added that the burden of proof to show that a father is fit to have sole custody is unbelievably high when compared to mothers. For a mother, you just have to go to court and tell them, I carried this child for 9 months. This is my child, and she will be granted full custody. For a father, the burden of proof is so limited that the only way you can get full custody is to show that the mother is of unsound mind, an alcoholic, or a drug addict. Now, the mother of my child is of unsound mind, but they still won't give it to me because there's some real crooks here in Cincinnati, Hamilton County Juvenile Court. The chances of a father getting equal custody, not even full custody, is the same as a parent getting hit with debris from the International Space Station, added Fernandez. Sheik said that currently FRAM is working to build momentum and create awareness of the topic shared or equal custody in Malaysia, from giving talks to hosting podcasts, as well as being a platform for fathers who are going through a divorce. Previously, fathers didn't know where to go. Now I feel like they have a place called home, where to have their fathers and people who are in a similar predicament to talk to. And that's why I formed Fighting for Fatherhood, because there's nowhere to go for fathers. There's nowhere to go for fathers in all these 50 states. I think we have some popping up right now in Louisiana and different places around but we do have some type of place for fathers to go to get some type of support. We have a support system. We organize sessions for fathers to come and share their feelings. No holds barred. We also have a counsel who has offered to counsel fathers for free. Change is not going to happen overnight, but we are being aggressive and optimistic. We want to bring about change and at least get to the bill into Parliament by next year, simply because divorces and inequality custody can be so damaging to children. And yes, it is damaging to children. That's why we're all screwed. On September, let me continue. On September 15, and my thing will mess up right now. But let's continue though. But really, let me read this. On September 15, Prime Minister Siri said that almost 78,000 divorce cases were reported since the COVID-19 outbreak began. He said a total of 10,000 divorce cases involved non-Muslim couples, while 66,000 cases involved Muslims being marched between March of last year and August of this year. In this total, non-Muslim divorces recorded the highest number with 3,160 cases, followed by 2,893. On Muslim divorce case, he said the higher number of cases were recorded. All right. But really, what I want to do, I want to give all praises, all glory, all honor to the mighty Yahweh by saying hallelujah. And I'm going to be here. Follow Fighting for Fatherhood in all social media platforms. Support the cause, donate, and praise the mighty Yahweh.